Welcome to QVS Insights, a series of short podcasts delivered by Forces Children Scotland, funded by the Armed Forces Covenant Fund Trust. And Forces Children Scotland has co-produced these podcasts with pupils from Queen Victoria School, which is a boarding school for pupils from armed forces and veteran families. You may have seen our earlier episodes where we've worked with S5s. Now it's the turn of S6 to get involved, who are talking about getting prepared to take the next step away from Queen Victoria School onto positive futures and much more. And episode 3 is looking at the quiet things that no one ever knows. Quite mysterious, eh? Fantastic. So we're going to really talk about the day-to-day experiences as a pupil at Queen Victoria School, just I think particularly from the civilian perspective, but equally to just a bit more of a reflective piece as well. So what's been very clear to me, I think, with discussions off camera, is the phrase "the MAD group" has come up a lot. And for those who don't know what the MAD group is, it's making a difference group. And I think it's clear to me that there's been a lot of skills and experiences gained. I think you've all done an incredible job in terms of enhancing the reputation of the school in Dunblane, and equally too, it's provided a lot of opportunities to support a lot of good causes. So I'm just wondering if there's specific memories you can take from your 7 years at Queen Victoria School that you're going to take forward as maybe pleasant memories or something that's given you a solid experience for your next steps. So would you like to start?
Yeah, I mean, like throughout the end of S5, I mean, like obviously coming from COVID, like obviously none of us were in school, so like there was no real volunteering kind of work done. But once we'd came past that, like towards the end of our S5 year, we were like kind of like a group of us were kind of like the starting force of the MAD group again. So I mean, I had the role that year of vice president of the MAD group. So we're basically like thinking of like every idea possible, really, like how we can rejoin the community of Dunblane and like give back after COVID, especially like the hard times. Yeah. So like the one memory that I remember the end of last year we did was it was the Christmas hampers we did for the old folks of Dunblane. So like obviously a lot of old folks they're stuck in their home, like at winter time it's cold, they're maybe too scared to come out. So we made like 130 boxes, I think. We filled it with like biscuits, chocolates, like drinks and stuff like that, and then we dressed up in our ceremonial kit and we went out in Dunblane and handed these out to the old folks and to their doorsteps. So it was a really nice touch, and like a lot of them even wrote letters back to us saying like how thankful they were for them.
So that's been a wonderful feeling, just to sort of provide that little gift, but equally a bit of company over Christmas. It's been quite a nice experience.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, we put like a lot of hours after school making these hampers because it came from a delivery of old like wine boxes from Tesco, and you'd fold them up, and then we spent hours wrapping them in like old Christmas wrapping paper and sellotaping them up, and then we like filled them all the gifts. So it was a lot of times. It was really like rewarding doing that.
Fantastic stuff. Lily, Grace, have you been involved in the MAD group?
Yeah, I have. I was helping out like with the majority of the events, and then I also took part in like the media stuff. So I was like taking all the photos for our teachers to put on the Twitter and all the socials, and just helping kind of organise things as well. But one of my favourite things about the MAD group was probably the winter concert. So every year, kind of like the hampers, we get like all the old folks together. So they come from like the care homes and like their houses and all that, and they can come to our school and they can watch us perform. So the dancers will do like a wee dance for them, like the hang-on dancers, and then some of the pipers come in, and then there's a whole display kind of everything that we do. And it's really sweet, like they get really excited, and it's quite a wholesome thing to watch. Like, you know, they quite enjoy it, and it gets them out because obviously they don't really get much to do, especially in winter. Like I can imagine being an old person, I'd be freezing and cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, yeah, they really enjoy it. And then we also do like a raffle as well that night. So like we all like get dressed up in our ceremonials, and we like hand out the raffle tickets, and we've got like wee programmes for them and all of that, and it's really sweet. It's quite nice for them. So they get a good wee sing song as well.
Absolutely.
Some of the songs, because this year I can't remember what was I can't remember what the band was. It was something funny. It was like Skelpit Lug or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it was called that. I think, don't quote me on that. But one of our teachers had organised for them to come in. It was like a wee Ceilidh band, and they came in and played some tunes for them all. So it was really sweet. It was quite nice. So
yeah, 'Cause I think it's really nice sort of intergenerational
Yeah.
sort of activities, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I think having worked with older people, I think they get so much out of engaging with young people and just taking the energy and all the they love listening to your lived experience and where you're going in life and all this great stuff and trying to provide a little bit of advice along the way. So no, that sounds fantastic. Lauren, is there any specific memories from the MAD group?
Well, I'm the Verter Kids president, so I do quite a lot with the younger years more so. But I think like from that, I done the shoebox appeal this like at Christmas, and I think we done like a record breaking for QV, and it was like 245 boxes or something we sent away, and they like just go on a big truck and go to like Ukraine, Hungary, like all the places where kids don't get Christmas presents. But yeah, you just get a shoebox, fill it with stuff, pack it, send it away.
Must have been quite a rewarding experience for yourself, having coordinated that and knowing it's going to make a huge difference where it's really needed.
Yeah, so I done like with that, I done a lot of work with the Rotary in Dunblane, and I got given this award at the end of it for the work that I'd done. So it's like rewarding in a sense, but more than me, it's like nice knowing that you've given someone something.
No, rightly so.
Right.
No, rightly so. And Race, finally, is any sort of specific memories for you?
Well, I mean, they've explained it pretty well. But I mean, yeah, the school encourages a lot of volunteering throughout the years. I mean, we have Rotary Club and then Mad Group as well. It's just giving back to the community, to the people that are less fortunate. So it does help them, but also it's like a lesson for us as well, just not to take things for granted and stuff like that. And obviously, like when we met the elderly people for Christmas, we got to speak with a lot of them. They're just passing their wisdom down. So yeah, it was good fun.
No, that's a really good point there. And I think it leads us on nicely to the next point. That do you feel that within the community of Dunblane, where the school is, that there is a sort of deep understanding of the lives you lead, or do you feel it's through activities, through MAD group or other musical performances or whatever it is, that helps to enhance that understanding? Do you feel that's the case, Lily Grace? Do you feel that the local community of Dunblane get the school, what it's about, who it supports?
I think they do, actually. I think, like, especially the older people, I think they find it like a proper treat coming to like visit us and getting to talk to us, because a lot of the old folks' homes come to our Grand Day parade as well.
Okay.
But like obviously because the school's been open for so long, like everybody knows about it. And I think they find it really interesting as well. And I think they find it like the people of Dunblane find it really special that they've got a school that serves a purpose like that in their area. So I think it makes them quite proud in a way as well, even if they've never been. I think they find it like almost like a wee flex to say that like there's such a cool school in their area.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a bunch of cool cats that you are. Yeah, so I think you as well, do you feel that it provides quite a valuable experience in terms of engaging with what I would term as civilian audiences in this context, whereas, you're pretty much in a community where, it's basically armed forces and veteran families at its core. It must make quite a nice balance to get out there in the community and engage with civilian audiences too.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially like looking back like 15 years ago, my brother, he was at school like 15 years ago now, and it was like a completely different school back then. Like it felt that QV was like its own community, like separate from Dunblane. And I think like the whole idea of like the MAD group was not only to help like people in the community, but to like integrate QV like into the part of Dunblane, to make it feel like we're part of like the community and not like we're just sticking to ourselves, like we don't speak to anyone and stuff like that. So I think like these past 10 years or so, like we are like a part of Dunblane now, like in a lot of the old folks, and we do stuff with like the primary schools and stuff. They come up. So we recently had an event where the S1s from Dunblane Primary School came up, and they had like a History World War I reenactment day around the school, and we actually led them like on tours and stuff like that, and took them through like scenarios of like gas mask and stretcher stuff. So like it was a really cool thing to like be able to like kind of bond with like the different people in the community. So
and it breaks down the mystique, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it just forms strong community bonds and that collective pride in the community and the town that is Dunblane, isn't it? Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. You really appreciate that. So I think another really interesting point I'd like to talk about now is, I think when we were working with the S5s, they were talking about the parades, and they were talking about that kind of graduation parade at the very beginning of their QVS career, where they they throw the Glengarry cap in the air, and that's you initiated into the community that is Queen Victoria's School. So we're now talking about 7 years later, we're approaching Grande, our final parade. So I just wonder if we can get your thoughts on that you've done so many wonderful parades, like say part of the community engagement, it's part of your identity.
Yeah.
How does that feel to be closing that particular chapter, Lauren?
Well, I never got a rookies because I didn't come in P7.
Of course.
So
Okay.
I didn't do rookies parade, but I think like I've grown into QV and like now in a final parade, like, well, I'm going to be guard commander. And you're just like, that's something special that you're not going to forget.
Okay.
So,
Can you tell us a little bit about the role of guard commander?
so basically, there's 8 guards on Grande, and you just, like, I'm number 7, for example, and you just lead like a year group pretty much. It's like a year group.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just like shout the commands for them, like eyes right, all of that jazz.
Okay, yeah. Good stuff. No, it's a high honour though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something you're not going to forget. It's your first parade doing it, you're a bit, like I had a voice break on my first parade doing
Did you?
it, and all my head was raised behind me laughing. And I was just like, oh God, but like you get more comfortable in the role throughout the year, and it's just, you know, something you go into, and I think it's a proud moment to be able to be like, no, I was guard commander on Grande, my last parade at QV. And
Absolutely. I can imagine it could be quite an emotive event, Ewan, you know, because I guess when you're doing the parade and everything, but then you're also reflecting, you're thinking, I remember when I was, you know, primary 7 doing this.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially, like, for me with my role, like, as senior monitor in the school, which is like the equivalent of like head boy.
Okay.
So I actually have to take the parade for Grande. So it'll be quite a cool thing because I was lucky enough to be the parade commander in P7 as we graduated into Old Victorias into the school. So, and I've been a part of the pipe band since S1 right through to S5. So I've not really done a parade since. So it's pretty cool to be like starting that and then like finishing it like in the kind of same role. It'll be quite an emotional day.
Oh, I can imagine. Oh, I can only imagine. And I'm glad to say I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
I'll be supporting you all. Don't you worry.
It'll be good.
If you forget your shouts, I'll shout them for you. Reese, how about yourself? What's your thoughts on the final parade that is Grande?
Yeah, I'm quite excited. I mean, it's like the biggest one yet, our final one with our whole year. Something that we're all looking forward to, but obviously it's kind of dreading as well because we're not really going to be together anymore. But I still remember passing out in P7 as a Victorian. Like you said, we just chuck all our Glengarrys up into the sky and just like celebrate. And then obviously in S1 as well, me and Ewan were orderlies. We accompanied like the high-ranking officers when they came to do the inspection for the parades, and I spent time in the band as well. But for Grande, my role would be in the colour party, just trooping there. Well, we still have the Queen's colours, but we're working on the King's colours. But yeah, it would be a special moment for us all, and just another memory to look back at.
Oh, fantastic. And just finally, Lily Grace, what's your thoughts on Grande?
I love it. I think it's I think it's one thing that we can say is like quite impressive compared to like other schools. Like some of my friends outside of school are like, oh, like how you not finished school yet? And I'm like, we've got like our big parade at the end of the year. Like obviously we don't really have like a last day of school. We just have like Grande is like our last day. That's like our way of like finishing the year, and that's when we move on. But no, I think it's quite cool, and it gets all the families together as well, because obviously you can literally bring as many people as you want. And you know, you can sit and have picnics with your families on the fields before the parade. It's quite a special day. Like despite the actual parade, just like with everyone in the community, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember doing like Ricky's parade as well, and like how like exciting it was. We were also like that's kind of like what made us all realize like, oh, like okay, like we're actually like staying here, like this is going to be like our life really. And it's quite strange to believe that it was 7 years ago. It doesn't feel like it was, but you know, it's quite exciting.
No, and like I said, that's what we're saying. You know, we're looking forward to going along, and you know, I think Nina's got us a Marks and Sparks picnic for it. So nothing but
Best
the best,
type of picnic.
nothing but the best for a very special event.
Yes.
So I think, like I say, just moving on to that. So once Grande's done, you know, you have that point with your families, but then obviously you've packed up for the last time as well. So I can imagine too, that's going to be a very emotive moment walking out for the last time. Lauren, Could I start with you there? I mean, I can only imagine what that must be like. 7 years that has been your second home.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have that last walk, aren't you, with that little carry case?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a rough day. I think everyone's going to be a bit emotional, but hopefully, like, I think we're all going out afterwards. So it's like one last night with your best friends and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's going to be tough moving on from QV because you're so used to everyone around you and like having them solid friendships and relationships, but it's moving on because no one's really near each other. Like, you can be fortunate enough to have people around you, but not everyone's got that.
No, that's a really good point. Reese, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, after Grande, obviously, like Lauren said, we're looking forward to going out and just spending one last time together without staff watching over you. So just go out, have some fun, and it'll basically just round off the whole year and our 7 years together before everybody kind of splits off for the summer and everybody will be doing their own thing. And then once university starts again, then most of us will be back up in Scotland and we'll be kind of close by, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. You got any thoughts on?
No, I think like a lot of us are obviously lucky that we're going to the same uni. So like, although it'll be like a big day, like everyone leaving each other, like a lot of us know that like you make like lifelong friends at this, like at QV. So like a lot of us know like we're going to see each other again. Like these are going to be lifelong friends. So it's not like we're seeing each other for the last day and we'll never see them again. So,
Sure.
But no, it'll be good. A lot of the year above people and like past OVs will come into Grande, and a lot of the boys, they'll come out with us at night on that Grande night. So we'll be hitting up Foo Bar.
Without supervision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I do know the teachers like a bit.
That's the only nerve-wracking part.
Okay.
I have seen a couple of teachers at Foo Bar out and about.
Probably not their famous.
Fair play.
Nah, it'll be a good day. So
good.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And Paul, guess what's your thoughts on that?
No, I think it'll be quite a good celebration day, but yeah, no, I just think it'll be quite sad at the same time. Like, I don't know. For me, I still feel like it hasn't really kicked in that I'm leaving, really, and I don't think for a lot of us it will kick in until like Grande, kind of after prom time, but no, I think also there's a part of us that are quite glad to kind of get away from it because we have been there for quite a while. Like, I know obviously like a normal state school is 6 years, but like 7 years is still quite a while, you know, for us all to be living together as well. It feels like even longer. So yeah, it'll be good to kind of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting when, you know, I think everyone here is going to either college or university, and there'll be a phrase that comes up, alumni. You know, when you've got former students from college and universities and they create associations. But in many ways, you know, alumni of obviously Queen Victoria School. And I'm wondering, although I know, Reese, you're going to go to the same university, but is there already kind of plans to keep in touch as a wider year group, like through social or a community group? I
really hope so. Like we have a parade at school and it's called the OV's Parade. Because obviously when we go through Ricky's Parade, we all become Victorians. So when you leave, you become an old Victorian. And I'd like to hope that, like, in, like, for example, 10 years' time or something, like, loads of us would turn up or something. Like, it'd be nice if, like, at some point we could all see each other and kind of catch up and see how life has changed. I think that'll be strange. Even if, like, I don't know, like, in, like, 5 years I was to, like, walk past you in Edinburgh, we haven't seen each other. I think it'll be weird to, like, bump into someone that you used to live with and you haven't seen them for ages. I think it's going to be strange.
Yeah. Should maybe do a 10-year podcast catch-up.
Should.
Yeah,
how interesting would
that should be so cool to see how, like, because obviously we've said, like, where we see each other in 10 years' time type things, so that'd be quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, it's a really interesting concept. You can kind of look back on yourself 10 years, and particularly in the previous episode, we were talking about where we see ourselves in 10 years, and let's see how much that bears out to be true.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
That
would be good.
We definitely all have the complete opposites of what we said.
Absolutely. And so I think, like, another interesting point I'd like to look at is here that obviously we're talking about boarding school for pupils from armed forces and veteran families. So I'm just wondering, again, with more of a view to providing advice to younger Victorians, that when you're overcoming unique challenges, whether it be deployment or it could be mental health and well-being, or whatever it is. So I'm just wondering if you're comfortable with talking about, how do you overcome these challenges? Is it basically through peer support, or is it through big sisters, or is it wider support through staff, or even services that are provided by Forces Children Scotland, for example? Just wondering if, Lily Grace, do you want to maybe start us off with that point?
So obviously recently you've helped us with getting the health and wellbeing workers.
Yeah.
Christina, she's been a great help to the school. Like, she really has. A lot of people rely on her to give some good advice, and she really is good at what she does. But for me personally, I do go and see Christina every now and again, and even just going to see your friends. Like, your friends really do help a lot because they know you like inside out. Do you know what I mean? Like, they literally know everything about you. And for me, I mean, at points at QB, my life's been quite difficult. Obviously, lost my mum when I was like 12. So, you know, everyone's like, all my friends have like, you know, they've seen me through that experience, you know, like before my mum was ill and like when my mum was ill and then afterwards. So they've been a great help. Like, I honestly couldn't have gotten through school without my friends. And the teachers have been a great help as well, but I owe it to all my friends.
No, thanks for sharing it, Legus. I appreciate that. Ewan, is there anything you'd like to add to this? Is maybe like parental deployment or anything like that?
I mean, I've been fortunate, like, my mum and dad were both ex-RAF, like, even me going into the school, so,
Right.
like, we've lived at, like, this kind of, the same home, like, throughout, like, most of my life. We moved about when I was younger, so, like, I've not really kind of had to experience the, like, parental deployment, but, I think, like, the one thing for me that, like, helped moving away from home was, like, finding an activity or, like, a passion that, like, you really care about. So whether that's like going into rugby, like me and Ray's both, like, we're massively into the gym and stuff like that, and like we started about like S3, so it gives you that kind of like that distraction, like, away from like anything you're thinking about, really. Like, going to play rugby, like, it'll keep your mind off like what you're thinking, and say if you've got trouble at home or your parents deployed somewhere, just having something to go and do to like distract yourself from that, I think, is like really helpful, rather than just sitting and kind of letting it like bog you down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's.
No, thanks for sharing that. You know, I think as well, like you were saying, when you've got your buddy there as well, you know, you're doing the release through the sport or the gym.
Yeah.
But you also got someone to bounce your thoughts and your thoughts and emotions off.
Yeah.
And like I say, I guess for that kind of collective shared experience, it makes it easier, I guess, to talk about that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Lauren? Is it quite easy to talk about some of these challenges because everyone else is going through something similar to an extent?
Yeah, I think so. But for me, like, personally, if I'm going through a rough time at school, like, I'm very fortunate after joining rugby that I've got two very good friends that I know I can 100% rely on when I need them. Like, if I phone them, they'll pick it up. So I think I'm very fortunate in that sense that I've got them girls to, like, they don't understand, they ask questions, but I know I've got them. That just makes me feel a bit better.
And is it particularly, have you experienced parental deployment during your time at Queen Victoria's School?
So, majority of my life, I've never lived in the UK. Like, I was born in Germany, moved to Brunei, like, lived in Kenya until last year. So, I'm quite used to my parents not being there. Like, I think my dad left when I was 7 days old to go to Iraq. So, I'm quite used to the fact that my parents aren't going to be there forever. So.
Okay, no, thanks for sharing that, Lauren. Grace, have you got further thoughts on the topic?
Well, my dad got deployed to Afghanistan when I was younger, so I don't remember like much about it, but I do remember like just him not being there and just spending most of my time with my mum. And obviously this was when I was in Brunei. I spent like 7 years in total in Brunei, which was pretty good because the beach was always nearby. So it's just keeping yourself busy, really, picking up new sports, just keeping close with your friends, and just like, I don't know, just do something that makes you happy. Like, even the past few weeks, all the S6s have been gone like on study leave, so it's been kind of boring at school. Just going on daily walks would just be nice.
No, absolutely. Any way through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you say, it was similar to what Ewan was saying. You know, you find yourself an activity, and particularly as the better weather is, and you know, the longer nights you can get out there and really collect your thoughts, I suppose. Is that fair to say, maybe?
Yeah, it's because obviously, like Ewan said, we're just big gym people, so take gym seriously. Just take your anger out on the weights and play rugby. Yeah,
channeling it positively. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point there. And so, like I say, just sort of wrapping up here, again, it's a bit like the 10-year question, but if you could provide yourself some advice to your former self 7 years ago before you joined Queen Victoria School, what do you think you would say to your former self 7 years ago, that night before you're joining Queen Victoria School? I know that's a tough one, isn't it?
I think the main thing is like not to, I don't know, like don't stress about things. Like at the grand scheme of things, nothing's really that big of a deal. Like especially when you're younger years, so like don't be too like serious or hard on yourself. I think like if you get in like a situation or in trouble or whatever, like there's no point stressing about it or letting it like affect you in the long term. Just have an easy life and just have fun. Yeah, just enjoy your time.
It's quite interesting. Could be a parallel to giving yourself that advice for moving on to uni now. It's quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah.
Immerse yourself in it and, you know, maybe have a nice little study timetable you in based on what we talked about earlier on. About immerse yourself in the sport and the community.
Yeah, I think first year I'll take it easy, get to grips with things.
Yeah. Incremental.
Yeah, and then you'll ramp it up as I go into the years. Yeah.
That's good to know. And hopefully when we catch up in 10 years' time, you'll have acted upon that plan.
Yeah, and I'll be a hard worker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Grace, what's your sort of thoughts on that? What would be the advice you would give yourself 7 years ago?
I think kind of similar to you, and not to dwell on stuff. Like, obviously, like when you're younger, especially like, it was so difficult living with girls that you'd never met before when you were like 11 and 12. Do you know what I mean? Like, all our personalities at points have been clashing left, right and centre, but I'm actually really proud of all the girls for getting through it. Like, genuinely, the amount of girls that, I would say actually there was more boys in our year that left than girls throughout our time at QV, and I'm actually very surprised at that, because there were times where like we all just wanted to rip each other's heads off. But
I'm sure I'll be.
It's quite crazy, but that's what it's like living with girls, and I suppose it's probably the same in any boarding school with girls, but no, I would say to definitely not to dwell on things and to just enjoy it. Like, I feel like there was points where we were all like, hate school, just want to leave. But now that we're leaving, we're all like, actually, don't really want to leave, but we're enjoying it. Just try to take in the last few days.
I think, like I say, you're touching upon quite a few topics there, from like, you know, relationships, mental health and well-being, and much more there. So would you say at Queen Victoria School, it's quite easy to find peers, staff, or like, you know, Forces Children Scotland services, for example? Is it quite easy to talk about these things and find real positive solutions, or do you just find alternative means?
Well, I would say in a way, like, obviously, because my experience was different. Like, my dad was always away, like, on deployment, really, and then in, like, 2015, he was appointed as the Sovereign's Piper. So he then moved away to London permanently, so he was staying, like, in Buckingham Palace, and, like he was, like, living with the Queen. And I don't know, I think my mum found it really difficult. She used to struggle with the whole, like, you know, my dad would phone up and he'd be drinking champagne every night, like, living his life, and my mum would be, like, raging. She's at home, like, so I don't know, I think my parents really, they wanted to move to London and they wanted to move away, which obviously would have been a big thing for me. But then obviously plans had changed. My mum got quite ill. But no, I would say, like, going, like, any situation you're in, like, even, like, there's not a single person in my year that can relate to, like, losing a parent, and they're all really good at, like, helping me through it. You know, they can't understand, they don't get it, but, like, it's just, they kind of, like, know what to say, do you know what I mean, and how to make you feel better. And they're like that for any problem you may have, whether it's your parents being away or just struggling with anything. I think we're all really good at, like, just supporting each other and try to help each other, even if, you know, maybe even if you're annoyed at that person or you don't particularly like them, we're all really good at just kind of, like, sticking together and just helping each other through it.
Kind of reinforces that theme of the sort of second family. I think we were talking about in previous episodes there. No, absolutely no. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. Lauren, what about yourself?
God,
What advice? 7 years on.
God, I think I'd say buckle in. Because I was a riot when I first came to QV. Like, I actually don't say, like, I don't think I can remember one good thing I'd done in my whole first year at QV, but man, going to Wavell with them S6s, I was scared of. Like, they really put it into you to buck up your ideas. So I think, God, I don't know what I'd say. I think I'd just be like, get yourself in shape.
And so Wavell, just in case no one knows, it's the senior girls.
Yeah,
is that right?
it's the senior girls. So I started off in Trenchard, P7 and S1 girls stay in Trenchard. And then when you get into S2, you go into Wavell, and we have big sisters, and my big sister was really good at getting me in shape and being like, buck up your ideas. So,
Okay.
well, you and sister was brilliant.
She was great. She was my big sister, actually. Yeah.
She was always there just being like, you need to sort yourself out, come on, you know what you're doing. And I think
Alex put a lot of us in shape.
yeah, Alex and her group were definitely the best ones we could have had to go into S2.
And the big sisters are kind of like peer mentors, would you say? Yeah, peer buddies.
I'm very fortunate for my little sister this year to be one of like my closest family friends. Like my dad and her dad went to school together at QV, funnily enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate to have her and help her progress.
Right.
The way that you and sister helped me, you know.
Okay, so buckle up was the key bit of advice then. Buckle in. Sorry, dear point. No, absolutely. And then just final word with Race. What would be yourself? What would be the one bit of advice you'd give yourself?
First of all, don't take that iPad because you're going to get suspended for it. But apart from that, wait, what was the question? The advice? Yes.
7 years ago.
Just enjoy time at QV. I mean, there's stuff happening every single day, and it's kind of hard sometimes just to keep up with the fast pace that QV is going. But I mean, it's what provides you with the best memories, especially like hanging out with your friends. I remember in like P7 as well, I remember fighting you because we got into a bit of a mishap. But like all those things that happen early on, it's just like a little bump in the road, and like 7 years later, you'll be like the best of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great advice. That's great advice. So yeah, like I say, I really want to thank you all for sharing your lived experience. I know we've talked about a few sort of challenging topics there, but I really appreciate the honesty you've shared here. And again, I wish you well in your future pathways.
Thank you very much.